A younger sister, Min, had been obsessed with novels featuring tragic heroines since she was a child. When she discovered her husband was cheating, she decided to take her own life, hoping to punish him, make him regret, and realize who he truly loved. I tried to persuade her not to sacrifice her life for a man. She listened to my advice and didn't go through with it. Eventually, her husband confessed and proposed divorce. My sister, furious, ran to my company building downstairs, knife in hand. She stabbed me repeatedly, fiercely shouting, "It's all your fault. If you hadn't stopped me, he would have realized I was the one he loved most. You destroyed my love." I died filled with bitter resentment. After I was reborn, facing my sister who still spent her days engrossed in those tragic heroine novels, I no longer tried to stop her. Instead, I egged her on. "You're right, the heroine must sacrifice herself for the male lead to realize the depth of his feelings." "Than, are you even listening to me?" A girl's piercing shriek rang in my ear. I could still feel the phantom pain on my body. The memory of the knife plunging into me before I died made me break out in a cold sweat. I tried to focus, and saw Min sitting opposite me, her face contorted with anger. What's happening? Didn't I die? Why am I seeing Min again? The agony of death still haunted my nerves. I took a moment to compose myself, slowly accepting the reality that I had been reborn. "Are you listening to me, sis? This male lead is so pitiful, he's just too afraid to trust genuine feelings because of his childhood. Now that the heroine is dead, he can only live in eternal suffering." Min, her face streaked with tears, held her phone, lamenting tragically as she read a new, tragic heroine novel. In my past life, she was exactly like this. After she said these words, I had vehemently refuted her, failing to understand why she sided with such a male lead. The male lead had nothing, and the heroine suffered with him to build a successful career. But once he became rich, he grew tired of everything about the heroine, sleeping with his secretary. Even when the heroine was hit by a car and died, he was still in bed with his secretary. What's so pitiful about a man like that? Min went ballistic when she heard that, refusing to let me slander her idol. She pointed her finger in my face, cursed me out, then slammed the door and stormed off. She was always so stubborn and temperamental. When I was born, my mother suffered a severe hemorrhage, nearly losing her uterus, making it very difficult for her to conceive again. Growing up, I was like a faded background, receiving no attention. A few years later, my mother miraculously had my sister. Coincidentally, my father got a promotion, and Min was bright and clever, so my parents showered all their attention and love on her. In middle school, my sister was obsessed with domineering CEO novels, always imagining herself as the heroine. In high school, she switched to heart-wrenching twisted love stories, the more tragic, the better. Ideally, the kind where the heroine is tortured to death by the male lead. Then the male lead would finally realize the heroine was the one he truly loved, living the rest of his life in agony and remorse, never seeing her again. In my past life, after my sister discovered her husband was cheating, she cried inconsolably at home, threatening suicide. She wanted to use her death to make her husband realize who he loved most, to force him to live the rest of his life in painful memories. My parents heard this and rushed to find me, telling me to talk her out of it. Moved by family ties, I softened and spent a long time reasoning with her, telling her not to sacrifice her life for a man. Ultimately, she gave up on suicide. But the day her husband proposed divorce, she ran to my company and stabbed me over a dozen times. My parents, doting on their precious daughter, feared she would be sentenced to death, so they sold my house and car to hire the best lawyer. After a month of legal struggle, she was only sentenced to 6 months in prison. I composed myself, smiling and nodding. Yes, people only truly appreciate something when they lose it. This time, there would be no persuasion from me. I was eager to see what end Min would come to, believing so strongly in these tragic heroine novels. Ever since I affirmed her belief, Min would share new novels with me every day, weeping profusely as she analyzed how pitiful the male lead was, how he was charmed by the wicked secondary female lead. Why couldn't the heroine believe in her love? On the other end of the phone, I would nod along, replying to emails. Exactly. Couldn't the heroine also be at fault? She didn't trust her own love at all. Thanks to this, Min and I had several months of harmony, something we'd never experienced before. She trusted me more and more, even calling me the moment she woke up. She discussed the novel she'd stayed up all night reading, heartbroken for the hurt male lead, furious at the unreasonable heroine. Whether I was sleeping, working, or having my life disrupted, she didn't care. She just talked endlessly, pouring out all her thoughts. She'd wait for my affirmation. If I didn't answer or was even a minute late, she'd chew me out. In my past life, I definitely wouldn't have tolerated it. But now, I secretly anticipated it. Thinking about what was coming, I was so excited I couldn't sleep. And then that day came. I was in a meeting when my mother called, saying Min was going crazy, smashing things. She wanted to go to Lamb's company to confront him about him and that fox. My mother was worried. "Come home quickly, your sister is in trouble." Hanging up, I couldn't hide my excitement. I hurriedly ended the meeting and rushed home. In my past life, it was also at this very moment that Min accidentally saw her husband, Lamb, shopping at a luxury store with his secretary. She didn't dare to confront him. She got married right after graduation, never having worked. At home, all she did was read novels and cry. Compared to the beautiful secretary beside him, she looked like a sloppy, overweight housekeeper. Back home, she was again threatening to kill herself. One moment she wanted to jump off a building, the next she was taking sleeping pills. My parents, afraid she would do something drastic, hastily called me to talk her out of it. But this life, I wouldn't persuade her anymore. I wanted to see what she would actually do. When I arrived home, Min saw me push open the door and immediately threw a chair at me, her face full of fury as she looked at my mother. "Why did you call her back, Mom? Do you want her to mock me?" Min had always been the most pampered child since childhood. Now, her husband's infidelity made her lose extreme face. How could she stand me knowing about it? My mother flinched. "I just worried something would happen to you, so I called your sister to talk some sense into you." "Than, quickly talk to your sister. She's threatening suicide to make her husband realize her place in his heart." My mother tugged at my arm, and I feigned surprise. "How could this be? How could my brother-in-law cheat? He's not that kind of person. Or maybe you saw wrong?" Min's face was full of indignation. "How could I see wrong? He and that fox were hugging right in the store, practically glued to each other." "Oh my goodness, how could that be?" I said softly. "But Lamb, he's such an excellent man. There must be many women chasing after him. It's common for men to socialize a little. The one they love most is always the one at home." Min clearly took this to heart. My mother also nodded in agreement. "Young Lamb is just temporarily confused. Once this infatuation passes, he'll come home." I quickly chimed in. "But men, there are too many temptations outside." "I'm just afraid the other woman might have tricks up her sleeve, luring him to divorce his wife and marry her." "So what should I do?" Min asked, panicked. I pretended to think hard, rubbing my temples. "If you're mentally prepared, you could go to their company and meet him. Let all the women around your brother-in-law know that you are the legitimate wife. You need to show your main wife's aura, threaten them a little. Doesn't it say so in all the novels? When the male lead is caught cheating, he usually feels remorse and guilt, realizing his true feelings and returning to his family." Min was silent for a while. Not long after that conversation, I was scrolling through recent videos on Douyin and saw Min, dressed in flashy clothes, heavy makeup, storming into the company lobby, screaming and tearing at the other woman. Lamb stood beside them, poker-faced, saying nothing. The third party in Guyot even offered Min a cup of hot water, gently saying, "Sister-in-law, please don't be angry. Lamb and I are just normal colleagues, a professional relationship. You must trust him." That gentle attitude drove Min insane. Seeing Ngayat's gentle and graceful demeanor and Lamb's indifference, she immediately lashed out, grabbing Ngayat's hair and tearing at her clothes, exposing half of Ngayat's pale chest. Ngayat recoiled in fear, tears welling up in her eyes. Finally, Lamb couldn't stand it anymore. He rushed over to separate them. He slapped Min twice. "Have you had enough? I told you it's a normal working relationship. What else do you want? Look at yourself now, you're no different from a common shrew." Min had been pampered since childhood and had never been yelled at by anyone. Lamb was her college friend. At first, he was attracted by her unique aura, which is why they got married right after graduation. Even though Lamb later grew tired of her temperament, he had never raised his voice at her before. "You hit me because of this fox. Have you forgotten your vows?" Min, stunned by the slap, sank to the ground, sobbing loudly. Lamb frowned. "Since we got married, you've always acted like a pampered princess. I can't cater to you anymore. If you keep making a scene, we'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau and get a divorce." Min remained on the ground, refusing to get up. Hearing the word divorce made her even more agitated. her mascara-streaked eyes and smudged white face making her look both pathetic and comical. After watching the video, I felt incredibly smug. I got up to pour a cup of coffee, planning to figure out how to make this video go viral. To my surprise, before I could even sit down, the door was being pounded on. I opened the door to find Min, accompanied by our parents, storming in. Without a word, she pushed me aside and barged into the room. "Than, this was your brilliant idea, wasn't it? Well, congratulations, Lamb wants to divorce me." I gave a cold laugh. From childhood to adulthood, you've always blamed me for everything. My parents also stepped inside. My father took a drag from his cigarette. "That Lamb even hit Min, how are you going to fix this?" I covered my mouth, feigning shock. "My brother-in-law isn't that kind of person. Didn't he say in college that Min was the most wonderful girl he'd ever met? In my eyes, you two were such a sweet couple. What did I devise? I didn't devise anything." My mother lunged, intending to slap me. I dodged. She glared. "Didn't I tell you to go to the company to sort things out? Now your sister is being proposed to divorce in front of everyone. If only she had just turned a blind eye, maybe everything would have blown over. You don't want to see your sister live well, do you?" I looked at my mother, feigning pain. Wasn't I also thinking of Min? I wanted people to know she was the official wife. Now I wouldn't dare interfere anymore. "So, what do you want, Mom?" My mother's eyes narrowed with calculation. "Your house must have appreciated in value, right? And your car, you can just take the subway to work. Sell everything, give the money to your sister to start a company. That way, Lamb won't look down on her. If they really divorce later, she'll at least have assets to find someone better." A chill ran down my spine. In my past life, after I died, they sold my house and car to save Min, my murderer. This life, even though nothing has happened yet, they're still eyeing my assets. It seems these things can't be kept anymore. My father saw I said nothing and irritably put out his cigarette. "You can't even help with such a small matter. What kind of elder sister are you?" My mother immediately started wailing. "I almost died giving birth to you, and now you won't even help a little." "I'm so miserable." Min also gnashed her teeth and glared, seeing my reluctance to help. I feigned distress. "It's not that I don't want to help. Isn't my brother-in-law brilliant and not lacking in money? If Min starts a company, not only will she have no time with him, but she'll also create opportunities for the other woman to interfere." Min bit her lip. "So, what should I do?" I pretended to think with all my heart. "The man you chose is definitely not ordinary. We must find a way to make him realize that you are the one he truly loves." "I know," Min excitedly interrupted me. "If you want the male lead to cherish you, you have to let him lose you first." My mother looked at me suspiciously. "Than, you're not intentionally talking in circles to avoid selling your house, are you? I told you, no need for such complications, just start a company for your sister and it's done. What man doesn't like money?" My heart felt cold. I was also their biological child. But from childhood to adulthood, they brazenly demanded that I give everything I had to my sister. I wasn't allowed to show any dissatisfaction. Otherwise, they would gang up on me. How difficult was it for me to give birth to you that year? How unfilial are you? In my past life, I was always restrained by those words. Thinking of family ties, I didn't want to disappoint my parents. The result was that after I was murdered by Min, they immediately sold my house and car, emptied my savings, just to hire a lawyer to exonerate the person who killed me, their most beloved daughter. The resentment from my death in the previous life surged within me. I clenched my fists, secretly taking a deep breath, steadying my emotions. Once fate gave me a second chance, I would definitely rise out of this quagmire and drag them all down to hell. I sighed. "All right, Min, if Mom doesn't support it, then listen to Mom. Maybe I was wrong. Your brother-in-law isn't like the perfect male lead in novels. Reality and fiction are inherently different." "Shut up," Min suddenly looked up and yelled. "I've read countless novels, at least 1,000. The male leads in stories only realize who they truly love after losing the heroine. Lamb is my male lead. He'll definitely be the same." Min started reading novels in middle school, tried every genre, but always preferred tragic heroine literature. So she always believed that she and Lamb were the male and female leads in a novel. What was happening now was just a plot device created by the wicked secondary female lead. "But dear," my mother tried to continue persuading. "Enough," Min impatiently interrupted. "Lamb is just being controlled by the plot right now. If I just make him lose me once, he'll wake up and realize I'm the one he truly loves. Even the novel you gave me to read said so. Only when you lose something do you truly appreciate it. I secretly smirked at Min's delusion. She stood up with an air of determination, ready to leave. Before she left, she glanced disdainfully at my computer. Sis, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but you should also find a man and get married. What's the point of being a workaholic every day? I forced a smile. I'll get married when I meet a man as excellent as Lamb. Hearing this, Min became even more triumphant. After seeing off those 3 pests, I immediately contacted a real estate agent, listing my house for $300,000 less than market price. I also contacted a used car dealership. After negotiating the price this weekend, I'd transfer the ownership. The next time I received a call from my family, while I was dealing with the car sale, I received a call from the police. Min had jumped from a building and they urgently requested family to come. I finished my business and rushed to the hospital. Just as I arrived at the entrance, I saw my parents also hurrying there. My father didn't say a word, just slapped me so hard I saw stars. I couldn't dodge in time. The blow made my ears ring. This is all your rotten idea. You incited her to jump. My mother stood behind, glaring at me. If anything happens to your sister, I'll never forgive you. I clenched my fists and followed them into the hospital room. Min saw us and immediately shrieked, "Why are they here? Where's my husband? I told you to call my husband first." The police officer's face was devoid of emotion, though with a hint of pity. "We called your husband. As soon as he heard it was about you, he immediately told us not to contact him again and hung up. When we called back, his phone was off. We had no choice but to notify the family." No way, Lamb can't be that heartless. It must be because this time wasn't serious enough, so he hasn't realized his true feelings yet. The police ignored her wailing and turned to my parents. "All family members are here, correct? Please come outside to handle the related issues." It turned out Min, afraid no one would discover her if she committed suicide at home, jumped from a floor of Lamb's company building. Fortunately, the floor wasn't high. She only broke her leg. Unfortunately, a student was waiting for a friend downstairs and Min landed on him. Luckily, his life wasn't in danger, but he suffered a concussion and a broken leg. At that very moment, Lamb was out signing a contract, not at the company. So, if the police hadn't called, he wouldn't even have known Min jumped. Now, the hospital was demanding $200,000 in hospital fees and compensation for the victim. My mother, upon hearing this, immediately jumped up. "What? $200,000 for hospital fees? We don't have that. What was that kid doing standing there? If he hadn't been there, maybe my daughter wouldn't have even broken her leg." The victim's parents, hearing my mother's absurd reasoning, immediately kicked us out, threatening to see us in court if the money wasn't paid. Outside, after being lectured by the police, my parents finally understood that this matter couldn't be avoided. If they didn't pay, Min would face criminal charges and go to jail. My parents stared intensely at me. I looked up at the sky and then at the ground, pointedly avoiding their gaze. With no other option, we all returned to the hospital room. Min's tears soaked her pillow. My mother ran over, heartbroken, and hugged her. "Min, why must you suffer so much? You have to be more open-minded, dear." Honestly, I had always been jealous of Min. Since childhood, no matter how unreasonable she was, our parents always unconditionally indulged her, giving her all their love. Now she was living and dying for a man. I found it truly baffling. How could Lamb be so indifferent? Is it because the jump wasn't from a high enough floor, not life-threatening, so he thought I was just putting on an act? Hearing her say that, my mother looked up in fright. "Min, don't be foolish anymore, okay?" I also persuaded her. "Exactly, you need to be strong. I never expected my brother-in-law to be so heartless. I really misjudged him. But if you divorce now, aren't you just making way for the other woman? Later, she'll be living in your house, sleeping with your husband." Min heard this, gnashed her teeth furiously. "I absolutely will not divorce. He's just playing around. He hasn't realized how important I am yet. This stunt definitely wasn't impactful enough to make him wake up." My mother was dumbfounded. I continued advising her in various ways, but she not only didn't listen but became even more frantic. "I will definitely make him realize who he truly loves." After calming Min down, my parents and I left the hospital. Since the compensation issue hadn't been resolved, they followed me home. On the way, my mother noticed I wasn't driving. "Where's your car? Don't tell me you sold it already." "The car broke down. I took it to the dealership for repairs," I lied. Back home, my father sat silently on the sofa, smoking. My mother looked up at me. "Your sister's situation, you have to take care of it." My father also said, If you don't take care of it, who will? You have a high salary, a house, a car, savings? I choked back my anger. I really couldn't understand. Everything I had today was earned through my tireless work day and night. I worked so hard to get all this. What did it have to do with them? How could they be so shameless? I thought this to myself but couldn't say it aloud. I could only force a smile and nod without hesitation. All right, I should definitely give this money. Consider it my filial piety to you, Mom and Dad. Seeing their faces relax, I changed my tone. But all my savings have already been given to you, Mom and Dad, to buy a retirement fund. The contract clearly states that contributions must be made for 10 full years. When you both retire at 65, you'll collectively receive $500,000 annually. I've already paid for 6 years. If I withdraw it now, not only will I lose the interest, but I'll also have to pay a contract violation fee of over $100,000. It's not worth it. My father frowned when he heard that. Why have I never heard you mention this before? A client from my company told me about it privately, Dad. Let me call and ask if it can be withdrawn. I put the call on speaker. The person on the other end, hearing my purpose, immediately yelled, "Sister, are you crazy? You paid the highest tier and now you want to withdraw. Not only will you lose $780,000 in penalty fees, but you'll also lose over $300,000 entirely. You'd only get back around $160,000. I pretended to be helpless. There's an urgent family matter, there's no other way. My mother snatched the phone, quickly hanging up. This money must not be withdrawn. Your father and I are still very healthy. Living another 10 years won't be a problem. Wait another 4 or 5 years, and you'll receive $500,000 annually. It's easy to see which choice is correct. As for your sister's matter, your father and I will handle it. We still have some savings, we'll advance it to her first. When you're due to receive the money, just transfer it back to me, that's all. That very day, my parents managed to scrape together the $200,000 in compensation for the victim. That evening, I messaged my best friend to thank her. "Thanks for playing along," she quickly replied. "No problem. I'm so glad to see you determined to escape that blood-sucking family. But do you think they'll come asking for money again later?" I gave a faint smile. "Don't worry. With how fast Mom is changing Min's nourishing meals every day, she'll be out of the hospital soon." Throughout her treatment, Lamb didn't make a single call or inquire about her. But Min was strangely quiet, not wailing loudly. She still held her phone, reading stories as usual. The only difference was that this time, it wasn't tragic heroine literature anymore, but stories where the male lead regrets and suffers after killing the heroine. A few months later, Min was able to get out of bed. The first thing she did was rush to Lamb's company. When she saw Lamb and Ngayat driving away from the company, she suddenly darted out in front of their car. Although Lamb slammed on the brakes, it wasn't in time. Min was hit and thrown several meters. Lamb got out furiously. "Min, if you want to die, go die somewhere else, don't bother me." Min lay on the ground, tears streaming down her face, muttering lines from a novel. "Lamb, did you hit me with your car because of that woman? I've loved you for so many years. Dying by your hand would be satisfying." Lamb recoiled in horror. "Are you insane? Don't do bizarre things in broad daylight. You threw yourself in front of the car. I'm not afraid to call the police. Get out of my sight." Min ignored him, continuing her act. "Don't worry, from now on we'll be separated by life and death. We'll never meet again." Ngayat also got out of the car. "Miss Min, Lamb has an important client meeting today. If you want to make an appearance, you should at least choose the right day." "Lamb, we have to go. The client will be here soon." Lamb glanced at his watch. "Min, I'm not playing your games. If you want treatment, go see a doctor, don't come to me. When you agree to divorce, then we can talk." The car drove around her and left. Min lay on the road, unable to understand why Lamb, who once loved her so deeply, had now become like a different person. She tried to sit up but found she had no feeling in her lower body. Weeping, she called an ambulance. Her previous jump hadn't fully healed. Now, hit by a car, Min was almost despairing. "Is it because I wasn't good enough that Lamb abandoned me?" On the hospital bed, she muttered as if her soul had left her body. "No, that's not right. It must be the plot twist. It's that wicked secondary female lead Ngayat. She's destroying Lamb and me." My mother, understanding nothing about plot twists or secondary female leads, just felt irritated. "Min, don't torture yourself anymore. I've seen it now that Lamb is no good. He doesn't love you. Just divorce him and get it over with." "I won't divorce him," Min shouted agitatedly. He loves me, he's just temporarily enchanted by the secondary female lead. My mother continued to persuade her. If he truly loved you, he wouldn't have abandoned you like this. Min shook her head stiffly. No, that's not it. Deep down in his heart, the one he loves most is still me. He's just blinded by that woman, unable to distinguish his true feelings. My mother, seeing her stubbornness, called me again, telling me to come and persuade her. At that time, I was at the real estate office, signing the contract for my house sale. The buyer paid entirely in cash. $1 million had already been transferred to my account. Looking at the new balance in my account, I felt completely at ease. Whatever trick Min wanted to pull next, I wouldn't care. With her wounds nearly healed, Min again tried to meet Lam. She tried to avoid Ngayat, choosing times when she wasn't around to seek him out, but either she was avoided, or as soon as Lam saw her, he would turn and leave without a word. With no other option, Min messaged Lam. If you come home and have one last meal with me, I'll sign the divorce papers. That evening, Lam returned as promised. Min had prepared a table full of dishes. Joyfully, she walked over, intending to hug him, but he avoided her. She couldn't stand it anymore. She challenged him. Are you seeing that woman? Are you divorcing me because of her, aren't you? Yes, I'm cheating. Lam no longer held back. Look at yourself. Every day you're disheveled, neglecting yourself, just reading novels and crying. It's truly nauseating. Min paled, stepping back 2 paces. That's not true. You're just being instigated by the wicked secondary female lead. Before we got married, you clearly said you loved me. Wicked secondary female lead what? Lam looked at her in astonishment. Snap out of it. Your mind has been ruined by those ridiculous novels. Look at yourself. All day long, you just throw tantrums. If no one indulges you, you scream and shout, no different from a common shrew. I've had enough of you. Min frantically grabbed his sleeve. No, it's not like that. Listen to me, we're living in a novel. Ngayat is the wicked secondary female lead in the story, appearing to separate us, to test our love. Once you're with her, you'll realize that I'm your true love. Lam was utterly horrified. He pushed her away. You need to go to the hospital. I think you're seriously ill. I'm not ill, Min shrieked. We are the male and female leads of this novel. Everything that's happening is just a plot point, a test of love. Lam gave up arguing. He pulled a file from his bag. You said if I came back for one last meal, you'd sign the divorce papers. I've brought them. Sign quickly. I have things to do. The moment she heard the word divorce, Min couldn't take it anymore. She dragged her crippled leg to the balcony, screaming, I've told you so many things, yet you still don't believe me. Lam, in this life, we shall never meet again, in life or death. With that, she imitated the heroine in her stories, resolutely jumping from the balcony. No, my mother ran out, lunging to pull Min back, but it was too late. Actually, my mother had been worried that Min would have another episode from the start, so she pulled me into another room to observe the whole process. Min truly had 9 lives. She fell from the 8th floor and didn't die, but she was in a coma, with no knowing when she would wake up. Facing exorbitant hospital costs, my parents once again set their sights on my house. As her older sister, you have a responsibility to care for your younger sister. In the hospital corridor, under my parents' relentless pressure, I gently nodded. Yes, I'll contact the agent right away. I'll list it tomorrow, but a quick sale will definitely result in a loss. My parents stroked their chins and said, Loss is loss, but we must save your sister first with the money. The remaining balance will be for her future security. I nodded without hesitation. That's exactly what should be done. Mom and Dad, you're working hard taking care of her at the hospital. I'll go home and clean the house thoroughly so it can sell for a good price. With that, I went home, packed my luggage, and that evening boarded an early flight I had booked previously, heading overseas. Just as the plane was about to take off, I received a confirmation message. $5 million had been transferred to my account. Finally relieved, I took out my phone's SIM card and tossed it into the trash bin next to my seat. Oh, I forgot to mention, I had transferred my job overseas and taken a 3-month leave to travel the world. By the time my parents discovered I was gone, I had already been working at my overseas company for a month. I heard they realized I was missing after a week. They rushed to my house and knocked, only to be greeted by a strange man, tall and muscular, with a face full of tattoos. That was the only condition I had set when selling the house at a low price. The buyer had to be someone whose mere sight would instill fear. My parents had originally intended to collapse dramatically at the door, crying, but upon seeing the man, they could only bow apologetically and retreat. They then ran to my company, causing a ruckus and demanding to see me, but my colleagues told them I had transferred overseas and was currently on vacation. My mother was so furious that she threw herself on the ground, refusing to leave and vowing to stay at the company until she was finally dragged out by security. Fortunately, Min wasn't in a coma for long. As soon as she woke up, she demanded to see me. She shrieked, "Get her out here!" My parents had to tell her I had gone abroad. Min, furious, smashed everything in the room. Meanwhile, Lam's lawyer appeared, stating he was authorized to proceed with the divorce. Min was suffering both physically and mentally, but still believed that if she died, Lam would definitely be tormented by regret, finally realizing she was the important one. However, after several failed suicide attempts, she gradually lost her courage, eventually coming up with the idea of staging a fake funeral. My parents, afraid their daughter would do something foolish again, reluctantly agreed. Unexpectedly, on the day of the funeral, Lam actually showed up, bringing Ngayat with him. Both were beaming, their eyes filled with relief. That's how it is. In this world, there are no pursuits to the grave, no prodigal sons returning. All of it is just fictional delusion. In reality, once a man has betrayed you, his heart is rotten, and there's no saving him. Min hid behind the memorial altar. Seeing the two of them walk hand in hand into her own funeral, her sanity completely shattered. She pulled out the knife she had used to stab me in the previous life. She lunged forward, frantically stabbing Lam and Ngayat, screaming, "Bastards, die!" As a result, Lam lost too much blood and died before he could be saved. Ngayat, not being stabbed in a vital area, survived but became a permanent vegetable, paralyzed for life. As for Min, in this life, I wasn't there to pay for a good lawyer. She was ultimately sentenced to death, to be carried out after a 6-month reprieve. My mother's hair turned white overnight. My father, too shocked, suffered a stroke and was bedridden. My mother, after many attempts, finally obtained my contact information overseas. "Than, my dear, I've thought a lot. I'm sorry, my child. I've been too biased since you were little." I remained silent on the other end of the line. "I don't accept your apology." My mother choked up, tears streaming down her face, whether real or fake, I couldn't tell. Not every wrong can be forgiven. Legally, we are still mother and daughter. When you both retire, I will send you minimum support as legally required. Beyond that, don't expect anything more. Just before Min's execution, I personally flew back to the country to see her one last time. Separated by thick glass, I saw her emaciated body. Her face was sharp, filled with malice. When she saw me, her once lifeless eyes suddenly ignited with an intense fire of hatred. "Did you also get reborn? Why didn't you stop me?" If it weren't for the glass barrier, I believe she would have lunged at me to stab me again. I said nothing, just quietly turned and walked out of the prison. In my heart, I thought, why didn't I stop you? Of course, it was so I could witness you getting your just deserts today. The end.